As soon as anybody mentions singing, I feel like people get really uncomfortable and pretty much divide up into three groups. The people who don't sing and won't, the people who do sing but they won't, and then the people who do sing and they won't shut up. But regardless of which of those categories you fall in, my speech is still going to be applicable to you. Although I truly understand that singing's not for everyone, I'm also a strong believer in that not only can everyone sing, but everyone should sing. I personally have been singing my whole life. I can't imagine my life without it. I hope to share a little bit of that love with you today. I'm going to cover some basic singing techniques, some performance tips, and I'm also going to explain how and why singing is good for you. You definitely don't need to spend hundreds of dollars on voice lessons if you want to be a singer. But your body is an instrument, and just like any instrument, you do need to know how to use it, so I would recommend learning some basic singing techniques, even if you don't plan on using them. Of all the techniques that you could possibly learn, breathing is by far the most important, which seems like it would be the simplest. I mean, we've pretty much pros, we've been doing it our whole lives and everything, but there's a whole lot that goes into it, and it can make or break you as a singer. The biggest mistake that people normally make with their breathing is breathing from their chest, which is normal for us, but while you're singing, you always want to breathe from your diaphragm, which is right beneath your ribcage. So first of all, you want to make sure that you're sitting or standing as tall as you can with your shoulders down and back to give yourself as much room in your torso as possible. And then you want to take a long breath in, making sure that your chest is staying still and your stomach is going out. And your first instinct is going to be to immediately breathe out all of that air that you just breathed in. So next, you're going to have to fight that urge because your breath needs to be able to last you until the end of your phrase. After that, it's really important just to make sure you relax because your muscles are going to immediately get so tight while you're holding your breath for that long. You want to avoid any locking of your jaw, tightening of your lips, and you want to make sure there's as much space in your mouth as possible. That's how you're going to get the most volume out of your sound. After that, it's really important just to make sure you relax because your muscles are going to immediately get so tight. Avoid any locking of your jaw, tightening of your lips, and you want to make sure there's as much space in your mouth as possible. That's how you're going to get the most volume out of your sound. If you're wanting to sing louder, the best way to do that is to use more breath support, but you don't want to confuse more breath support with just taking the biggest breath as possible. There's a very reputable vocal coach named Ken Taylor who wrote an article about breathing, and he made a great point that if you take the biggest breath that you possibly can take, and then you try to breathe in more air on top of it, it's very painful because all of that air gets caught in your vocal cords and stretches them out and makes them very tense, and it's an easy way to exhaust you really quickly. So honestly, if you can remember to stand tall with your shoulders down and back, to breathe from your diaphragm and not your chest, and to make sure that you breathe in and out long and slowly so that it fits your phrase, that is half the battle right there. And once you master that and you're comfortable with how you sound, it's going to be time to share your gift with the world, right? And to an audience, your performance is often more important than even the quality of your sound, which brings me to my next point. You always want to consider how you're coming across to an audience as you sing. I personally have divided this into three categories of body language, song choice, and tone. As far as body language goes, you always want to plan whether or not you're going to be sitting, standing, dancing. Sometimes you need a little something extra. Sometimes you really don't want to take away from what you're doing vocally, but either way, you're going to want to make sure that that's appropriate with your plan for the song and the message that you're trying to convey. Song choice, you always want to choose music that means something to you personally, because even if you sound amazing, an audience isn't going to connect with you unless they believe that you're genuine. Remember that if it impacts you, it'll impact them. And tone, there is a very old, very researched vocalist named Lauren Blauvelt. She wrote an entire article about tone. A quote from her is that the first consideration of every singer should be the quality of their tone, and that's not necessarily referring to just the sound, but more so the color of it. If your song were to be a work of art, what would it look like? What colors would it be? She goes on in the article to explain that every singer has a perfectly individual tone, and it's one of the most beautiful parts of the human voice, and as soon as you start to imitate someone else, it takes away from that. An artist named Pablo Casals quotes that the greatest respect any artist can pay to music is to give it life. And I love that quote. So do just that. Pay attention to your body language, mean what you sing, paint a picture with your song, and see it all from the eyes of your audience. It's going to greatly impact someone. They, however, won't be the only ones to benefit from your newfound gift of singing, because there's actually a plethora of not only emotional benefits, but physical benefits to singing, including improvements to your immune system, your memory, your stress levels, and even snoring. Running through all of these references really quickly. Singing improves your immune system according to a study by the University of Frankfurt on acquired levels of immunoglobulin in their system. Singing improves snoring according to a 2008 study published in the Journal of Sleeping and Breathing. And singing has been proven to improve your memory. The Alzheimer's Association actually has a program called Singing for the Brain. I personally use music to help me study, and I'm going to be a teacher one day. I plan to use it in my classroom. Of course, singing has been proven to relieve stress. It releases endorphins in your brain that make you feel happy.